today's video, we're going to talk about what got me back into reading. So, I've always been a reader. When I was younger, I even had, like, were they Disney? Where they had, like, the gold spines and they were, like, the fairy tales or something. So, I had a bunch of those. I always had books. I always read in school, like, the Pizza Hut certificates. I was on that. I even remember Dairy Queen, I think, at one point. My mom used to read to me, so nobody is shocked now that all I do is read in my free time. But as I got older, I kind of stopped reading as much, just because so I'm the oldest of 8, and my mom was a single mom, so, like, I didn't have free time to read because I was helping her with my siblings, but also my siblings were very destructive, of their stuff, my stuff, and so, like, I just didn't want, like, my books to get ruined, because obviously I'm checking them out from the library, and, so yeah, I kind of stopped reading. I mean, I still read in school. My friends would let me borrow their books. In high school, I read, like, the Mark series by PC Cast, Twilight, like, in middle school, the Mortal series, I think it is. I never got to finish the PC Cast and Kristen Cast series. I do want to finish that, though. I might have to restart it. It's been a really long time. But, yeah, so, like, that's what I like to read. I did used to go to the library a lot with, like, after-school programs, but again, like, I didn't really want to check books out just because I didn't want my siblings to ruin them, and then it was like, who's gonna have time to take me back to return this? So, just, like, I want to say books were accessible, but at the same time, they weren't. One of my favorite memories with my grandpa is he brought me home Breaking Dawn because he seen me reading it. Like, he went to Barnes & Noble and he bought it. And then I stupidly lent it to my friend and she never gave it back. So, I don't actually want, like, to have the book because of who it's by. I just want the book because my grandpa bought it. But, that's neither here nor there. But, I read it, I went back and I reread, I cannot remember the name of the series, but I went back and reread it one summer during college because it randomly popped in my head and I wanted to know how it ended. I really enjoyed that, but again, like, I'm a broke college kid, so buying books is not, like, high priority, and then school started, so I had to get back to studying. And then, what was it, 2 years ago now? Is it 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago? I want to say 3 years ago, because I've been on Bookstagram for 2 years. My cousin, read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and she's like, you should read it, this book was really good. So then I read it, and I was like, oh yeah, this was good, this was good, don't fault me for that. So I just kept reading Colleen Hoover books, because it's like, okay, this is what, I mean, I liked this one, so let's see what else is next, and that's also what my cousin was reading, so we would do, like, buddy reads and talk about them. Well, then I got on Book Talk and was like, what should I read? So then I was, like, reading Penelope Douglas, Shane Rose, were, like, the big ones I was buying, LJ Shen, like, all them, and then randomly one day I was like, books by Black authors, like, just because I was, like, I was reading them, and, like, when I read, I know some people will, like, change the character to fit what they want them to be, or, like, I know some people are like, oh, if the character's, like, white, or, like, an open my head, they're black, and, like, say, like, they'll change, or, like, they'll, like, self-insert. I don't. So, like, when I read, like, my reading is, like, I read it, I'm like, okay, they're a vampire. Like, okay, they're an alien, like, not alien, I don't read that. I don't read, like, shifter romances. I have, but they're not necessarily my jam. I haven't got into that just yet, but, yeah, so, like, when I read, I'm like, okay, their name is Becky, and they're Italian, like, that's how I read, but I was like, you know what, like, there's gotta be more, because what I had just kept reading these books from Book Talk that were popular, and I'm like, these are not good books. I mean, like, obviously they're popular because some people like them, but I'm like, I'm not enjoying them, so I typed in Black romance author, and Kennedy Ryan popped up, Tia Williams popped up, so I read Before I Let Go, and then I read The Kingmaker, that series by Kennedy Ryan, absolutely loved it. I read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, absolutely loved it. I read the Butterfly series by Ashley Antoinette. I read, I think, the first 3 or 4, and I just kept getting mad, so I stopped reading that. Recommended it to my mom. She loved it. I don't know what, I thought I seen something in the, anyway. So I recommended it to my mom. She absolutely loved it. I read Jennifer Hartman a lot too. And so I made my Bookstagram account and started posting there, and then I made my Threads account, and that's really where I started finding all these indie authors. That's where I found Tommy A. Pert, Ophelia Raines, Cassandra Winston. I actually was talking to her. She's one of my friends. I did not realize at first she was an author, and then she let it slip one day she was an author, so I was like, all right, hand over the info, friend, so I can read your book. So I found H.M. Wolf, like, that. Threads and Bookstagram have been, like, mainly Threads, though, because that's really where I've found a lot of indie authors, has been awesome. Like, say what you want about Threads, it has a lot of drama, unfortunately, but that has been the fastest way I have connected with all the indie authors that I have and built the relationships that I have, and for, like, that's where I'm super grateful. Black Romance Book Fest, though, is where I really found, like, all the other Black authors and the indie authors that I now support and read, and how I ended up with 70 plus books, because where I live, we don't get a lot of traction. Okay, I did also read Brittany Cherry too. I just remembered that she was a big one that I read. I got to ARC. She was my first ARC read, but I didn't realize I got approved because I used the wrong email. And her book was also one of the first books that I was like, I'm going to annotate this. It's The Problem with Players, and I absolutely love it. And I got to tell her how much I loved it, even though I forgot it at home when I was going to get it signed when I went to Des Moines to see her on her most recent book tour. But anyway, so yeah, like it's how I went to Black Romance Book Festival in Atlanta, just because we don't get a lot of traction. Like, I think the closest place that some of these authors go to is Chicago. So when I went to BRBF the first year, I was like, I'm gonna get these authors signed that I know. I'm just focused on that because it's my first signing. I'm nervous. It's my first time in Atlanta. I'm not very well traveled, so I'm like, I can't really take a lot home. So this is my focus. Well, this year when I went, I just was like, oh, you're new to me. Bye. You're new to me. Bye. So that's kind of how I ended up with the 70 plus books. Aside from the ones that were gifted. Don't forget I had some gifted, but yeah, I mean, it's just like I started reading one day and I haven't stopped. And I really should stop buying books. So apparently reading, I learned, is like a 2-for-1 hobby. The reading is obviously the hobby, but the buying books is like the second part. But I really want to focus going, like, this past year and even like a little bit last year, my focus has really been like supporting indie bookstores, and not necessarily supporting Barnes and Noble and Amazon, but it sucks because the only places where I live, I mean, we do have a bookstore, but it's not a diverse bookstore from what I heard, and apparently it mainly focuses on being a travel agency. So I didn't even realize that it was there until I randomly drove by it one day. And I had asked my coworker, because she lives in that area, she's like, oh yeah, it's a travel agency. And I'm like, but it says book people on it. I don't know. It's a travel agency, basically, I guess. But, like, the only places I can physically get a book is, well, now Marshall's, which I find odd. But, like, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. Like, that's the only places in person I can buy books. So it's like, sometimes I do have to do Amazon, or, like, I try to just directly buy from their websites, but I'm kind of really getting off track. I also got a bunch of recommendations, though, when I got back into reading from my preceptor when I was in nursing school. I was finishing my last semester, and she was an avid reader. And she actually was reading, I think she was on the 2nd or 3rd book for the Court of Thorns and Roses, that series. So I was going to read it. Then I got on TikTok and seen all the hype, and I was like, I'm not necessarily into fantasy just yet. I was just getting back into reading, and I was reading romance. Strictly romance. Hadn't dabbled in, like, fantasy or romantasy or like thrillers or anything, so I was like slowly dipping my toes back in. Well, first off, her fandom was like a lot, so I was like, I don't know about that. And then I found out about Breonna Taylor, and I was like, yeah, that's an absolute no. No. So, did not read that, will not read that. Don't support her on this channel if you haven't picked that up. But I've slowly dabbled. Like, I do like mysteries and thrillers. I'm a big scaredy cat, so I don't read those often. I've gotten into romantasy. I haven't done just strictly fantasy. I don't read sci-fi. No self-help. I read to escape. I'll eventually get a therapist. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I got back into reading. Like, I was talking to my grandma and my mom one day, and I was like, are you guys shocked? And they were like, nope. So, I mean, it was just going to be a matter of time. My cousin just kind of re-sparked that fire for my love of reading, and I have not stopped. So now I have my Bookstagram channel, I have my book talk, and now YouTube. So, which is kind of really nice though too, because like I've mentioned before, I've always wanted a YouTube channel, so I'm glad my love of books sparked that to finally like do that. And yeah, I think I'm gonna end this video off here. I can't really think of anything else to say. I mean, my love of reading, like me picking books back up, definitely re-sparked my mom's love for reading, so I definitely get that from her. It was really fun. I will say this, and then I'll end the video. So she was reading before I let go, and I had gave her the physical copy because this was before she started doing audiobooks, and she couldn't find it. And so I'm like, ma'am, how do you lose a book? Like, what do you mean you can't find my copy of Before I Let Go? Well, my nephew, like a couple days before that, I had taken it from her and was like, no, Mimi, no read, watch TV. And she's like, no, I'm gonna read. We're really trying to get him to be a reader. I mean, he still needs to learn, but like, we're trying to show him, like, I have books, Mimi has books, like, we read. We don't want them being tablet kids. And so he was like, no, Mimi, like, read if we watch TV or whatever. So then she waited for him to fall asleep. Well, she was making her bed, and she went to pull a blanket up, and out flew my book. He hid it from her when she was in the bathroom, and she didn't realize it because she had just, like, went to bed. So that's a funny little story there. He does say that I read all the time. He's like, why do you always have a book? And I'm like, because reading's good for you. And so yeah, like, that's that funny little story, but that's just kind of like, that's how I started reading again. And my goal for the rest of this year is to read my physical TBR. It is going to take me a while, but I will do it. So I turned 30 in August. I'm rambling again, but anyway. So I turned 30 in August, and I was going to do like things I want to do before 30, but August is literally like right around the corner. So I'm going to do 30 books I want to read before I turn 30, just because I feel like that will help me like chip away at all my physical TBR, and they're only going to be physicals, so it's going to be 30 physical books I want to read before I turn 30. And then I do have a bucket list. I want to do like 15 things I want to do before I turn 30. So far I got skydiving. So if you have any good ideas of things I can do in a short amount of time, definitely leave a comment down below. I already got tattoos, I got piercings, so it's like kind of, I mean, I could get a new one of those, but kind of check that off my list. And I'm kind of well booked out for traveling too. So yeah, if you can think of anything, leave a comment. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe for my next one. And have a great night.